Scintillating evening, dear Toastmasters and friends. I welcome you at Toastmaster Clubs of Lucknow meetup, and this is our 131st meetup. Meanwhile, I'll take a few seconds to share my screen. So, as Toastmaster Club Lucknow has its own mission, and our mission is to provide a conducive, supportive, and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self confidence and personal growth. There are certain directions and guidelines which are as follows. Ensure that you are logged in with your correct name. It will help us to identify you easily. All speakers, role takers are requested to add the name of their role next to their name. All the guests are requested to prefix guest before their name. It can be done by clicking the participants tab to rename yourself. Know when your camera is on and avoid doing any activity that may distract the speaker. Please mute your microphone except when it's your turn to speak to avoid background noises from interrupting the meeting. Please unmute your microphone and start your video when the Toastmaster of the day or the table topics master asks you to do so. Let the host and co-host handle all the controls. Refrain from speaking about religion, sex, and politics in a derogatory manner. Avoid interjecting the speaker when he or she is delivering a speech, evaluation, or report. Avoid conversations in chat publicly when someone is speaking, as it may distract the speaker. Please raise your hand to volunteer during table topics session to speak. Look out for the green, yellow, and red colored cards on the screen. They will be displayed by the timer at the appropriate times. At the end of every segment, please cast your ballot when the host displays the polls on the screen. Now, before I introduce today's presiding officer, I request all of you to be on the camera and unmute yourself. Our today's presiding officer is the president of Toastmaster Club of Lucknow, and he is a proud, friendly neighborhood Toastmaster. And he is currently living in Noida, UP. And he has recently added one another feather to his cap by winning division level humorous speech contest, and added one more feather to the Toastmaster Club of Lucknow. Now I would request all of you to give a huge round of applause to our presiding officer. Toastmaster Jatin, stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Sergeant Arms, for that wonderful introduction not only to the meeting, and I'm flattered by your words. Well, as our Sergeant Arms had already said, that it is the Toastmasters Club is sets up to create a conducive environment for members to work on the skills that they're really interested in, which is public speaking and leadership. And he doesn't say these things. He's actually the one who walks the talk. And what I mean by that is because he's being our one of the latest members, has already completed the first level of dynamic leadership pathway just a few days back. So I'd like to give everyone a heartwarming wonderful round of applause to Toastmaster Suraj for taking this journey further, his dynamic leadership journey further, that he's in which he's leading by example. It is through these members that our club not only creates that environment, but it's also is more fun. Like Suraj says, that we are your friendly neighborhood Toastmasters, and that fun is what we want to help to provide to you as well through our meetings like this, where in this online world we just WhatsApp or Zoom call away in your neighborhood always. We talked about public speaking leadership, and Public speaking, an aspect that in our earlier networking session, our guest Sunil already mentioned, is something that makes your heart pound, that creates so much anxiety and nervousness in yourself because you're not sure what to speak, when to speak, and how to speak. And that's what we are here for today, is to know, to learn the art of speaking, of creating good speeches, to enable, to enable us in doing that. We have someone who's been doing that since literally day one. When I say day one, it was because she's been doing that. She was the the past president of India's first Toastmasters club, and she has continued that leadership journey in other clubs, successfully leading other clubs as well. Because she has been the president of Garden City Toastmasters Club. She's also the IPP of Speakers Den Toastmasters Club. I could keep on saying those things, but to quickly say that she's not only a great public speaker, as uh, she's participated in multiple contests. She's been a finalist in the division level table topics and international and speech evaluation contests multiple times. This being a contest season is very apt for us to invite her and give us that help us learn that skill, because as we said, it's a contest season. We just had our division level humorous speech and evaluation contest yesterday, and our ISC, the International Speech and Table Topics contest, is upcoming, for which is open to all the members. If obviously ISC has a certain eligibility criteria, while table topics, being the impromptu speaking contest, is open to everyone, all members of every club. So hopefully for all the current members and for all upcoming members like Sunilji and Samriddhi, you have something to look up to. But in order to be prepared for that, we are here today, is to be prepared on what to do in a contest first. But in a contest, all we do is we speak. But how to prepare that speech? For that, we have our keynote speaker for today, Toastmasters Sonal Shailendra. I please give a huge round of applause to her. The virtual stage is all yours, Toastmasters.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jatin, for that very eloquent introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, Toastmaster.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening.
Just like how Toastmaster Suraj set the ground rules for today's meeting, I would like to have a few ground rules for the session. Can we have a few ground rules for the session? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So I would want the session to be highly engaging, very interactive. Please involve yourselves. Please invest yourselves in the session. Yes. So as and when you'll want to ask me a question, share your experience, feel free to unmute yourselves and ask me that question, or to share your experience, whatever comes to your mind. There are no yes or wrong answers, so feel free to share whatever comes to your mind. Yeah? Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So without further delay, we are all asked to present, like Toastmaster Jatin mentioned. We have our contest, ISC contest season coming up. We are supposed to make presentations even in offices. We are asked to present even in our domestic lives, right? So when you're
Yes.
asked to present, it could be a speech, a presentation, a story. What is the first thing that you all will do? Yes, Vaishnavi?
Yeah.
You're on mute.
I think firstly we think about the idea that we are having.
Okay, so Vaishnavi will think about the idea. Yes, Suraj, you had to say something?
Research on the topic.
Research on the topic, pretty much what Vaishnavi said, the idea of the topic. Any other answers?
You have to develop a courage to you are going to speak here. First, you have to
Conjure
think.
up the
You are,
courage, yes. You know, in another
yeah.
session, somebody told me that I will run away as far as I can from the person who's asking me to present. So what is the first
Yeah.
thing you all will do? Any other answers other than the topic?
If you're being asked to talk about, you've been invited to talk on a topic, right?
Yeah.
Learn, like, whom I'm speaking to, what context of the talk.
Okay. Thank you, Toastmaster Jatin. Exactly where I was arriving. Know your audience. The very first step is to know your audience. Gauge them, assess them. Who am I talking to? Is it a Toastmasters meeting? Is it a Toastmasters contest? Is it my college presentation? Is it a presentation at office? Is it a formal setting, informal setting? The size of the audience, the demographic? So first is to know your audience, profile your audience. Yes? And now, why is it important for us to know our audience?
It is simple because you
Simple.
they are going to listen to you, and they are going to understand you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So make it comprehensible for them.
What? Yeah, yeah. So what their mindset? What kind of education they have? No, what they like to listen to? Yeah,
Yeah.
such things. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why you gauge the audience, you know the audience. Once you're aware of the audience, you tailor your message to suit their needs. Now, for example, if I go, I'm from Karnataka, and if I go to a government-aided college in rural Karnataka, and I speak as eloquently as Shashi Tharoor, will I be able to establish a connect with the audience? Most definitely not. Because they are not in a position to comprehend what I'm saying. Right now, if I go to a bunch of 7th standard students and talk about a subject like financial literacy, again, will I be able to build a rapport with them? But financial literacy is a very important topic, right? And I think you should catch people young. So what do we do? It's an important subject.
We can teach them in simple, like giving simple examples.
Yes. So absolutely, Shubham. Shubham is absolutely right. So the message will remain the same. But the way you're going to craft it, the way you're going to tailor it, the way you're going to package it is going to be different. The examples that you will be giving is going to be different. If you're going to talk to your boss, your spouse, your colleague about financial literacy, the language that you will employ, the jargon that you will use, the examples that you will use will be different. The same message, when you're talking to a bunch of 7th standard students, you'll probably tone it down so that it is comprehensible for them. The message will remain the same, but the way you're going to craft it is going to be different. Because ultimately, the audience is the hero of your speech. It's not you, it's the audience. And if you're not going to establish that connect with the audience, then sorry to say you failed as a speaker. The hallmark of a good speaker is to connect with the audience. So know your audience. And once you're aware of your audience, what is the next thing that you will do?
Topic.
Know your topic, or like Vaishnavi and Suraj mentioned, know your idea. What is it that you're going to convey? You know your audience. What is it that I'm going to convey? Is it financial literacy? Is it about the ill effects of smoking? Is it some technical presentation you're making? So know your topic. Always, ladies and gentlemen, begin with the end in mind. Before you even sit down to write your speech or your presentation, have the conclusion in mind, the core message or the theme of your speech. At the end of my 5 to 7 minutes Toastmasters project speech or my contest speech, what is it that I would want my audience to know or think or feel? Do I want to tell them that smoking is injurious to health? Do I want to tell them that financial literacy is important? Do I want to tell them that physical importance is of paramount importance? What am I trying to convey? Always begin with the end in mind. Otherwise, you will waver. Right? And once we are aware of our audience, we know our topic, then what is the next step?
To write it down.
To put pen to paper, very simple. Put your pen to paper. You have to draft your speech. Any speech, any conversation needs to have a structure. And this is a timeless formula we've all been following ever since we were little children. An opening, a body, a conclusion. O, B, C. It's a very simple formula. You cannot go wrong with this. The simplest to the most sophisticated of speeches follow this template. It's not a hard and fast rule, but there's very little scope for you to go wrong with this. Opening, a body, a conclusion. Even our day-to-day conversations need to have a structure. They need to be organized, right? Even our day-to-day conversation. For example, I have an uncle His name is Ramesh, okay? And he calls me almost every single day. And he talks to me for a minimum of 45 minutes. Okay, my uncle, he talks to me. And even at the end of 45 minutes, I have absolutely no idea what this man is trying to say. Do you all have such people in your lives? Vaishnavi is
I
vehemently
have
nodding her head.
I have some friends.
You have some friends. Good, we are not the friends. Good, we don't do that to other people. Yeah, because this person has no structure. Even at the end of 45 minutes, I don't know what he's trying to say. Right? So even a conversation needs to have an opening, a body, a conclusion. Like what if I told you, last night I went out for dinner, this morning I did yoga, after the session I'm going for a swim, last week I was in Tirchi, next week I'm going to Jim Corbett. Did it make sense to you all? Jatin's
No, no.
laughing. Sunil is like, no, it didn't. It left you all confounded, right?
Yeah.
As standalone statements, they made sense. As standalone statements, but they're not logically arranged. And that's why I'm not just confusing myself, but I'm confusing the audience as well. At the end of your 5 to 7 minute speech, your audience needs to be convinced of what you're saying and not confused. Right? So that's why it's important for us to maintain a structure, an opening, a body, a conclusion. Now, how would you like, some of you all have seen speeches, yesterday our presiding officer won a contest also. How do you think, how would you want the opening of a speech to be? How would you do it, or how would you like it to be?
I would like to ask a question. I will ask a question to grab the attention of audience.
Okay, so Shubham will throw
Ask a
questions
question,
at the
or
audience.
I will tell a quote or like that, so that like I will do anything to grab the attention of the audience.
Okay.
Yeah.
So within the first 30 seconds of your speech, the audience decides whether they want to listen to you or to mentally wander off. So it's called as the golden time. So make use of it. So like Shubham mentioned, you could throw questions at the audience. You could use quotations. What are the other methods where you, to garner the attention of the audience?
You can tell a small story
Yeah, an
related
anecdote.
to
An
the topic.
anecdote is a small story.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yes, yeah. Or sometimes 2 lines of a poem.
Yes, a
What we
poem,
say,
or you
share
can
shairi,
start
yeah,
singing,
say,
dancing
yeah,
also I've done.
yeah,
I genuinely have done, yeah.
yeah.
You all were talking before the meeting began. You all said, I think Jatin used a prop yesterday. You could use a visual exhibit, a prop. Have any of you all watched the 2015 World Champion of Public Speaking, Mohammad Katani's winning speech? Only Jatin?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes,
Suraj.
No, no.
You've watched it, Suraj?
yes, I think.
Okay.
He was having a
Cigarette
cigarette in
in
his hand.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes,
yes.
a
So let me
certain
tell
kind of action we can do.
yeah. So he used a visual exhibit, a prop. He used cigarette. So what this person did was in the year 2015, this person was a finalist at the World Championship of Public Speaking. So he has defeated close to 30,000 contestants world over. Okay, more than 30,000 contestants he's won against, and he's gone to that level. There are only 10 people on the podium, and when his turn came to speak arrived, he put his hand in his pocket and he drew out a cigarette on the World Championship of Public Speaking, the stage. He put it in his mouth and he almost lit it. The crowd gasped, what is he doing? That was his way of capturing the attention of the audience. He used a prop, a visual exhibit. Even your PowerPoint slides, presentations, they are also visual exhibits. Something that enhances your speech. Some people,
Something unexpected.
Dhananjay Hecharati used a rose. Yes, Sunil.
Something unexpected.
Something unexpected. You can say something
Uh,
startling. Ladies and gentlemen, you know who the
Yeah,
new president
yeah,
is?
yeah,
Donald Trump. I'm like, oh God, what is this? Oh, it was just a dream, yeah.
yeah.
Something to capture. You could start off on a humorous note. You can crack a joke. something that augments your speech, something that captures the attention of the audience and keeps them hooked to the rest of your speech. So recently I evaluated this speech. It was an international meeting. I evaluated the speech, and this lady, she was a very old lady, very frail, very old lady. She was clearly over 80 years old. She was more than 80 years old. She was wearing a bride's gown and a tiara. And she delivered her speech like that. She was reliving her marriage day, her wedding day. She was reliving it. And I liked the fact that she was dressed for the occasion. I think it's very commendable. No, she took so much effort. There's another person, she delivered a speech on the core message of her speech was believe in yourself. So she wore a shirt with believe written on it. I like how she was dressed for the speech. So see what works for your speech. Approach different speeches differently. So this was about the introduction of a speech. But be assured that you have to capture the attention of the audience in the introduction itself. Once you connected with the audience, you progress towards the body of your speech. Right now, how do you intimate the audience? Hey, I'm done with my introduction. I'm moving towards the body. How do you tell the audience? You could use a greeting, Mr. Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, and begin. You could pause. You could change your voice, change in body language. You could use a different part of the stage, something to intimate the audience that, hey, I have finished with the introduction and am now progressing towards the body of my speech. Now, assuming it is a Toastmasters project speech, which is 5 to 7 minutes, how many points do you think can be included in the body of your speech? How many points can it accommodate?
Around 4 points.
Okay, thank you, Abhishek. But it is recommended to have not more than 3 main points in the body of your speech, not more than 3. Because no matter how much content you have and how much information you have, the audience will not be in a position to comprehend everything that you're saying. It gets very, very confusing and overwhelming for the audience. I'm an engineering student like most other Bangaloreans. And you know, those periods after lunch, they bombard you with information, so much information, and you're just so overwhelmed. Yeah. Your 11 felt like that during your college days? It's very overwhelming. Too much information is overwhelming. Too much food leads to indigestion. Too much information leads to incomprehension. Right? So much information, it confuses you. It becomes very overwhelming for the audience. So 3 main points, and you could substantiate that. You could bring the message to life by using facts and figures, proverbs, quotations, personal anecdotes, examples to highlight what you're saying. Or you could have one story, just one story in the body of your speech. Yeah. So we've done with the opening, we've done with the body, and now we progress towards the conclusion. Again, you need to intimate the audience that, hey, I'm coming, my speech is coming to an end. Otherwise, it will sound very abrupt. Right? So you intimate the audience by using a pause, change in voice modulation, change in your body language, something to intimate. Or you could even say in conclusion, to reiterate, to reinforce, all in all. Or you could just conclude. How would you like the conclusion of your speech to be? Your speech or any other speech that you're observing. Yeah, Shubham.
Not like crisp, to the point.
Yeah. The core message of your speech should be a one-line statement. Too long a message can again confuse and overwhelm the audience. I may not remember every single thing that Sunil or Jatin said, But even 6 months from now, I will remember the message. We may not remember everything Mohammad Khatani did, but we remember that cigarette incident so distinctly. So a one-line message. Do all of you know Dhananjaya Hecharati? I see something in you, but I don't know what it is. You haven't watched it? It's a classic. Please go and watch it. It's one of the best in the world ever. So I see something in you. I saw Jatin nodding his head, so Jatin must have seen it. Yes. I don't remember everything Dhananjaya did, but I remember the message of his speech very, very distinctly. So people will remember the message of your speech. So make it clear, crisp, concise. Make it crystal clear for the audience. A one-line message that the audience will remember. Now, people more often than not, they exude so much of energy in the beginning of their speech that towards the end of their speech, they're tired. They have no energy. And all of us get tired. But please ensure that you end on a very emphatic note, because what comes towards the end is what lasts in the minds of the audience. People rush through the conclusion. The audience is not able to catch what you're saying. Now, all of us have gone to the theaters and watched movies, right? After you walk out of the theater, what do you remember the best?
How the
Like
movie
Last
ended.
scene.
The climax.
Yeah.
Because
climax.
yes, because
Yeah.
that came towards the end. What comes towards the end, it's what lingers in the minds of the audience. For a long time, it lasts with the audience. So make it meaningful, make it memorable for the audience. Yeah. So this was about the conclusion. Now the opening, body, and conclusion. There must be a common thread that ties all three parts of your speech together. I told you, no, within the first 30 seconds of your speech, your audience decides whether they want to listen to you or to mentally wander off. So just because you need to capture their attention does not mean you do some kind of an act which is not relevant to the rest of the speech. You crack a joke which is not connected to the rest of your speech. You appear like a stand-up comic, right? Because there's no relevance. Don't force fit something. Don't plug in something if it does not organically gel into your speech. It should be seamless. The flow needs to be seamless. Otherwise, what happens? They'll say, okay, this person, this is not a credible speaker. The hallmark of a good speaker is credibility. Say, Sonal will come, she'll do some drama. There's no connection. She does something. It's no doubt entertaining, but there's no connection. So let's not force fit something. So this was about the opening, body, conclusion. So once the message is delivered, is that all? Is that all? Is that all, Shubham?
No, I don't think so.
No,
Okay, you don't
I
think so.
think
No, why don't you think so?
How I leave the stage, I think that will also
yeah,
matter.
Yes, have you
yeah.
leave the stage? No, as far as the content of a speech is concerned, have we left out anything?
I just done
Yes, Shubham?
nice opening, like a message, message is done. Nice opening, nice closing. I think yeah, it is done.
It's done. All right.
Yeah.
So when you listen to a speech, you're listening to my speech or you're listening to anybody's speech, what are you actually taking away from that speech? Why are you listening to that speech?
The message.
The message. We are listening for the message, right? And what do you do with the message?
We'll follow that message if we like it or we find it's good for us or it's good
Yes.
for all.
Okay, that's exactly the answer that I was looking for. I am investing my 5 to 7 minutes, my invaluable resource. My money will come back, my time won't. I'm investing my resource in Shubham, listening to Shubham's speech. I am interested in what's in it for me. I'm not doing anybody a favor by listening to them. I'm interested in what's in it for me. What can I take away from Shubham's speech and implement it in my life? to make my life better. So I leave the audience behind with a call to action or a call for action. You're calling the audience to act. Right? So Shubham will say, he was preparing for the UPSC examination. He has various constraints, financial constraints, peer pressure, so many things. And despite all of that, he worked very hard for 10 years and he became an IAS officer. Through this journey, he's figured out that impossible is nothing. He's figured that out. Right? So I'm like, okay, man, Shubham, good for you. You became an IAS officer. What can I do? Right? So then Shubham, this is the message. That impossible is nothing. That's the message. The call to action could be, ladies and gentlemen, it was the UPSC examinations for me. For you, it could be writing that book. For somebody else, it could be running that marathon. For somebody else, it could be a failed business. Please remember, nothing is impossible. Right? And then oh yes, Shubham achieved the impossible. Hey, even I wanted to prepare for UPSC. I wanted to go to Harvard. If he could do it, even I could do it. He took 10 attempts, even I can take 10 attempts. Right? Dashrath Manji's story is it's a very inspiring story. The mountain man, right? Now, good for him, he broke down a mountain. But what did we learn from it? That it might take 22 long years to break down a mountain. But if you keep hammering it every single day, if you're dedicated to your craft, it might be a long run process, but you can achieve it. He, without education, can achieve it. You are in a much better position. You can achieve far more. If somebody was a chain smoker, somebody was addicted to tobacco, and he's conquered that addiction. Now he's a teetotaler today. Through that journey, he's been through a difficult time, and he says addiction is beatable. For me, it was tobacco. For you, it could be procrastination. For somebody else, it could be alcohol. I beat tobacco. What will you beat? And that there will be somebody in the audience who will be like, hey, yeah, even I'm addicted to this. I'm addicted to that. If he could do it, even I can do it. Right? You serve as a beacon of light, as a beacon of hope. You say, I couldn't stand here. So Vaishnavi can say, I couldn't even attempt a table topic for 10 seconds. But today, after 8 years, I've become the world champion of public speaking. Right? So it will inspire people. For some people, you might inspire people to become better Toastmasters or public speakers. You can inspire others to write a book. You'll inspire people. You're calling them to act. You're motivating them to do something. So after listening to your speech, I should be able to get up from my seat and go out there and take action. Right? So that is a call to action. Do we have any doubts as far as the content of a speech is concerned? No?
No.
Yes, Jatin.
So it said there should be a call to action. There should
Yeah.
be 3 stories or 3 main points that you should divide it into. And then, but what should be there in those 3? What do you, Knight, what do you convey in those 3 points that the audience should listen to you?
Or
And
it could be a story as well. It could be a story. Or 3 anecdotes which bring the same message to life. It could be 3 short stories or 1 story or 3 main points. So it depends from speech to speech. If it's a project speech, if I would talk about the ill effects of smoking, I would probably talk about what I have seen, what I have been through, and what to the general public, how it affects general public. That would be. But in a content speech, I would suggest you all to pick personal stories because it's some 30% originality. Contest, please pick personal stories. Personal stories are unique and exclusive only to you. Right? And you connect better with the audience emotionally because audience relate to your struggle. So select those. So 3 points. It could be a technical research, whatever it is. So those are the 3 points. Now all these 3 points must be connected to one another. One can't be about the ill effects of smoking. One can't be about physical fitness. One can't be about financial literacy. All 3 points must bring the core message. I said begin with the end in mind. All 3 points must bring the core message of your speech to life. Yeah. Any other doubts as far as content, the content of your speech is concerned? I also said begin with humor. Humor is an excellent way to disarm the audience and get them on your side. Right? Humor is very entertaining. It makes the environment very pleasant. However, humor is also a very, very risky proposition. Please indulge in self-deprecating jokes. What are self-deprecating jokes?
Jokes told at our own expense.
At our own expense. Just because we are put on a stage does not mean we make fun of others. Right? So please indulge in self-deprecating jokes. So any doubts as far as the content of a speech, the structure of a speech is concerned? No, all right. So now a speech is essentially a performance. It comprises the content which we just saw and 2 other components. The 2 other components are voice modulation and body language. So simple, right? So 3 components: the content, the voice modulation, and body language. Now, voice modulation is super fun. It's a lot of fun, okay? I love acronyms like OBC for the content. For voice modulation, I have coined an acronym, VP3. Okay, VP3. So V is the volume. Volume is how high you speak, how low you speak. Self-explanatory, right? Now, for example, Suraj, with your permission, okay, with your permission. Suraj, where have you been? What does this convey? What does it convey?
Simple. I mean,
I'm
where
just
I
asking you. I'm just questioning you, right? Suraj, where have you been? What does that convey?
Suraj has done something.
That I'm angry with him or something, right?
Yeah.
I'm angry. So, ladies and gentlemen, please observe the words remain the same. Suraj, where have you been? Just by playing with the volume, I conveyed a completely different idea. Just by playing with the volume. Now, if I was Vaishnavi's principal, hey Vaishnavi, why didn't you go to class today? Would that be appropriate? That wouldn't be appropriate. A principal is going to be more authoritarian, right? Vaishnavi, why didn't you go to class today? So please employ voice modulation to enhance the naturalness of your speech. Now, if you are talking about your niece, if Sunil is talking about his niece who's 5-year-old, please emulate that 5-year-old girl, no? That 5-year-old girl can't have a voice like Sunil, a manly voice like Sunil's. So this is about the volume, how high you speak, how low you speak. Now, somebody's husband is dead or somebody met with an accident. You can't scream like that. No, hey, your husband died, go. You can't talk like that. It's a somber message, so you have to really tone it down. The volume needs to be low. In a playground, if you just won the World Cup, you're going to be very excited. Volume's going to be high. In a funeral, your volume's going to be low. So be natural. Okay, so this was about the volume. P3. And now P3 is a lot of fun. The first P is the pitch. Yeah, Shubham, I saw the green card. You can come back now. The first P is the pitch. Now, our speeches have characters, right? Always, a speech is essentially a conversation that you're having with the audience. Please don't make your speech narratory. Instead of saying, my father asked me to get me a glass of water. Okay, you can have a conversation between your character and your father's character. Have a dialogue. You know, introduce a character and have a dialogue with the character. Right? It brings your speech to life. Instead of saying, my father asked me to get a glass of water. Hey, Vaishnavi, go get a glass of water. Right? Have a dialogue. Now, father will have one voice, Vaishnavi will have one voice. Father's voice will be manly, Vaishnavi's voice will be feminine. The mother will be more, gentle and feminine. So there will be various characters in your speeches. To bring about the distinction between various characters, we change our voices. Sonal's mother, Sonal's father, Sonal's brother will all have different voices. They can't have the same husky voice like me. Right? So do that. Now, I told about my Ramesh uncle, na? So he has a squeaky voice. So there was one speech which revolved around him. So throughout the speech, I had to use a squeaky voice. Now, please be consistent with that throughout the speech. So one part of your speech, Ramesh uncle can't be squeaking. The next part of your speech, he can't be normal. Right? Also, there's something called as stage crafting. So if your college is on one side of your stage, the college remains on that side of the stage for the entire duration of your speech. College can't be here next minute, college can't be there. Right? If I'm emulating Vaishnavi's father, that same voice has to be there every time I'm playing his role. So to bring about the distinction of various characters, between various characters, you will change your voice. And what do? You change your pitch. Vaishnavi, Archita, and Sonal will speak in the same volume. But still, this is Archita, this is Vaishnavi, this is Sonal. Based on the pitch. That's the first P. The second P is pace. What is pace? Pace.
The speed,
Speed.
Rate of
incredible
work.
speed.
Abhishek is so intelligent. He's giving me physics answers. Yeah. Pace is nothing but how fast you speak, how slow you speak. Self-explanatory, right? Any Usain Bolt fans in the house? Usain Bolt? No Usain Bolt fans in the house? No, none of y'all. Okay, at least do you all know Usain Bolt? All right. He's the fastest man. Jatin's giving us, demonstrating that. Yeah. He's the fastest man on the planet, right? We are all aware he's the fastest man on the planet. Now, suppose if I was the commentator for Usain Bolt, I say, ladies and gentlemen, here I am watching Usain Bolt run the fastest race of his life. Appropriate? Shubham is saying appropriate, yeah? Appropriate. Not appropriate. Why not appropriate?
Because it's too normal. Like we won.
Somebody in another session said, by then this is not for a sprint. This is more appropriate for a marathon. Right?
He will return the trophy.
He'll return the trophy he would have run 10 times. Yes. So if I say, ladies and gentlemen, here I am watching Usain Bolt run the fastest race of his life. More appropriate? Okay, this is the best I can do. I'm trying to do as much as justice as I can to the fastest man on the planet. Right? So my pace has to be in congruence. Suppose if I have an examination in the next 1 minute and I have just realized that I don't have a pen. Right? I'm not going to go and say, Archita, do you have an extra pen? I have an exam in the next 1 minute. Appropriate? Natural? No. I have an exam in the next 1 minute. I don't have a pen. Archita, please give me a pen. No, give me, please, please, please. That's how I'm going to behave. So be natural in your speech. Immerse yourself in the characters of your speech. So this is where pace comes into picture. Depending on the urgency, fast. Now, you're going to somebody's funeral. You need something. You're not going to talk like this, no? Hey, Geeta, come, go. You can't talk like that. You'll really have to pace it down. Because the setting requires you to behave like that. So this was about pace. The first P is the pitch, pace, and the final P is the, take a guess, voice modulation. Now, what is the final P?
Performance.
Pause.
Pause.
Silence is golden. Sometimes it conveys more than words ever will. Okay, so where do we incorporate pauses? When do we place pauses in it? Yes, Shubham.
like when we are changing a story or we are changing the like we have spoken on a particular thing and now we want to speak a different thing.
Okay, while you're transitioning,
Yeah.
transition, during transitions, when else will you use a pause? Yes, Sunil.
Yes, when we want to give some time to audience
Uh,
to respond,
yeah,
so we should take that time pause.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
After
Shubham initially
question,
said that he would ask questions, right? He would ask questions to the audience. Now, after you ask questions, you can pause. Now, there are two types of questions. One is where you're eliciting a response from the audience. You want a response from the audience. You ask a question and you're waiting for a response. The other kind of question is known as a rhetorical question. What is a rhetorical question? A rhetorical question? Yes, Suraj. Yes, Suraj, tell me.
we just ask and just move on without having any response from the audience.
So, a rhetorical question is a question where you're just provoking the audience to think. You don't want a response. You know, the answer to that question is obvious. It's an obvious answer. For example, if I say, ladies and gentlemen, if you do not quit smoking today, you know what is going to happen? You know what's going to happen, right? We'll all die if you don't quit smoking. So, the answer, you know the answer. If you don't save money 5 years from now, so the answer is obvious. You just want them to think about it. If you don't save water, right, you know the answer. So that's a rhetorical question. You're provoking the audience to think. So even then, you give a pause. Allow the question to settle in the minds of the audience. After you say something, you want it to settle, no, in the minds of the audience. Yeah, so you use a pause. You also use a pause where you're trying to build suspense or intrigue. You know what the latest information is? You know what the latest gossip is? It's all over the country. Everybody's talking about it. You know what? You don't know. Now that I'm building suspense, right? You want to know what it is. So then you pause. Don't reveal the answer very quickly. Build the suspense. So these are the places you can use pause. Sometimes to break the monotony of a speech also, you need to use pause. Like how Shubham said, transitions. Otherwise, the audience will get confused. Before you deliver the key message of your speech, pause. Because you're intimating the audience. What comes after the pause, they know is emphasized. They know it's important. After delivering the key message, again pause so that it settles in the minds and the ears of the audience. Retention is better. Otherwise, you said something important. Even before I'm able to grasp what you said, you've moved on. So therefore, I've lost a very, very pivotal piece of your speech. Pause. Not such a long pause that people think you have forgotten your speech. Sometimes you also want to breathe. You need to breathe. So pause. So these are the places where we use pause. Place deliberate, intentional pauses. Again, humor. I'm sure Jatin did an exceptional job yesterday, which made him win the contest. In humor also, timing is very important. Crack a joke. Allow people, to allow people to appreciate and enjoy your joke. Sometimes you want to have a good time, right? So these are the places where you use pause. We'll recap what is the acronym for voice modulation.
VP3.
VP3. V is the
uh, Volume.
volume.
Pace.
Pitch. First is pitch.
Yeah, pitch, pace, and pause.
Pitch, pace, and pause. Fantastic. And now we saw the content, we saw the voice modulation, and the final one is the body language. Right? Now, body language is so simple. Just when I said Usain Bolt, what did Jatin do? Right? A picture paints 1,000 words. What is this? that I'm on a
Phone.
call or something, right? Phone. What is this?
Stop.
Stop.
Keep quiet.
Keep quiet. Did you see? I'm able to convey the right idea and the message without uttering a single word. I didn't utter a single word. 73% of your communication happens through your body. Right? If it happens through your body. Suppose if I say, Sunil, it was so nice meeting you today. Does it sound natural? Does it sound genuine? My words are polite. My words are like, Sunil, it was so nice meeting you. It's a polite statement, right? But did my body language suggest that? No. What did you see? My body language actually overpowered my verbal communication. So there must be a congruence with what you're saying and what you're doing to come across as an authentic speaker. I saw it was an evaluation, division level evaluation contest. Somebody said, you know what, her mother died. I said, you know, somebody died and you're saying that with a smile on your face? The speaker wants to appear pleasant, but they're saying something which is more serious in nature. So there's a lack of synchronization, a lack of, congruence. So it's not coming across as authentic. My father shouted at me. You know how it was? Hey, you know when your father shouts at you, are you like that? You're not like that. So there must be a congruence in what you're saying. Now, body language is very simple. Now, do you have friends? You know, whenever you're talking to them, they're playing with their keychain or with their pen. They're fiddling with their hair. They're doing strange things, blowing the bubble gum. Do you have people like that when you're talking to them? And how does it feel when you're talking to them?
Not
Very
good.
awkward.
Ignored.
Awkward. Sunil is so polite. He's saying awkward. Yeah. Shubham, you were saying something?
Awkward is good.
Awkward. I'll say it's irritating, it's annoying, it's disrespectful. I'll say that. And I had a particular lecturer, okay? I'm from Bangalore, I'm an engineer. And I had this particular professor, and he was a very, very nice man. But the problem with him was his periods were always after lunch. And he would stand in one corner of the room with his hands like this, okay? And he would deliver a lecture for 1 hour. He would not move an inch towards the right, left, front, back. He would not move. He would stand there with absolutely no voice modulation and plonked in the same position for 1 hour and delivering a speech, a lecture. Did you all have such lecturers in your college days or school days? Oh God, you all also had. Okay, so Jatin, I would want to know from you, how did it feel to attend that class?
Well, it was quite recent for me, so I remember, even though this topic or the subject was of my interest, but the way the class would start, within the first 15 minutes, I would zone out, and then he would continue rambling, and I would be in my own zone thinking about what should I be doing at this time, how should I prepare for lunch? It's coming up in another half an hour or so.
Yeah. Well, you were lucky that was before lunch, you know. Mine was after lunch. You can't even sleep. He was such a nice man. I couldn't even sleep. I respected him so much. Yes, Suraj, you want to say something?
Yes, same experience even I used to have. I used to get caught sleeping, and marker or pen used to hit my head. Then I used to get wake up.
So it's very irritating. Even no body language is irritating. All I'm trying to say is too much body language, like how our friends blow bubble gums and all of that, that's irritating. No body language is equally annoying. So you need to strike the right balance. It's easier said than done. But how do you strike the right balance? By internalizing your speech and not memorizing your speech. There's a distinction. What do I mean by internalizing your speech? That is, you're not indulging in route learning. You're not by-hearting your speech. Right? So you know the outline of your speech, your opening, your body, your conclusion. This is how I want to begin. You might forget a few things. You might want you just add something on the spur. But ultimately, your speech is your baby. There are people who forget icebreakers. An icebreaker is where you introduce yourself to the club. Right? Yes, Jatin.
No, I said I'm one of them who has forgotten icebreaker.
Icebreaker.
Badly.
People forget their icebreaker, and I find that extremely baffling. How can people? I mean, an icebreaker is a story of your life, and nobody on the planet knows the story of your life better than you. Not even your parents. Nobody knows it better than you. How can you forget a story of your life? And they start crying, and they run away. It's not the content that you've forgotten. It's just that the nerves and the jitters that come on being on stage that frightens you, because you cannot forget the story of your life. And even if you've forgotten a few things, how will I, as an audience, suppose if Arshita has forgotten a few points in her speech, how will I know it? How will we all know? I think the only person who may know that she's missed out a few points is her mentor. Right? Otherwise, how will I know what Shubham has forgotten or what Suraj has forgotten? Because your speech and your content is something only you know. So if you miss something, just let it slide. It's all right. So internalize your speech and don't memorize. Now, suppose you are going somewhere and you see something very strange, or you see some incident that caught your fancy, that piqued your interest. Now you'll come back and you'll narrate the same experience to your friend or your friends in Toastmasters, right? You just gave it a cursory glance. Nobody's going to stand on the road and observe what's happening. You just give it a cursory glance. Then you'll go back home and you tell your family about the same incident. These two ladies were fighting. That lady pulled this lady's hair. A policeman came. He separated both of them. He blew the whistle. Are kya kar rahe ho? He said, right? Won't you go back home and narrate the same incident? Come on, yeah, we all do this. To your spouses, you all must be doing this, right? My boss came, and he ate my head. I wish she dies. Don't you all do all that? We all do that, right? We all do that. Now, have you observed when you're narrating an incident like that, the structure of that incident is in place, the voice modulation again is in place, and your body language automatically falls in place, right? Why? Because you've internalized that incident and not memorized it. You are not going to say at 2:37 that lady came, at 2:40 that man blew the whistle, right? Aage badho, like you do that, right? Unconsciously you're doing that because of there. Firstly, yes, it's a friendly audience. The second thing is you're more focused on delivering a message, saying that area is not a very friendly place, it's a hostile place, let's not go there. That's the message you're conveying. So when you internalize your speech, everything will automatically fall in place. Only when you try to memorize, you will forget. When you internalize, you might be found wanting for a few words here and there. Instead of saying significant, you may say important. But the essence of what you're trying to convey will not be lost. You will come across as a more natural speaker. And sometimes, even if you fumble, it's absolutely all right. I won a table topic contest, and I don't know how I won the contest because I was not able to pronounce the word adversity. I took 3 attempts. Adversity. I said, like, 3 times I did that, and I still ended up winning. It was a formidable contest. There were a lot of big speech champions in that contest, but I won the contest despite fumbling because I came across as natural. The judges are also natural. The audience is also a human being. They also make mistakes. Ultimately, are you able to connect with the audience? That's all that matters. Are you able to connect with the audience? I'm from Bangalore, and I studied in a very prestigious school. We had this one Kannada teacher, and she couldn't speak English, but we used to enjoy her classes the most. She had a very heavy mother tongue influence in her speech and all that, because she was able to connect with us so well. We were able to gel with her, emotionally connect. Right? Some people, they don't have the best of knowledge, they're not very educated, but you just have a good time being with them. So give the audience a good time. Take them on a journey with you. Yes. So this was about the body language. So you have the content, you have the voice modulation, and you have the body language. Put these 3 ingredients together and you have a performance. Any questions? Okay, so if it's about ISE, I would suggest you all to pick personal stories. Personal stories are unique to you. Second, please be aware of the timing criteria. Even if you take 1 second extra, you'll be disqualified. Please maintain originality so that you don't get disqualified again. Prepare for your level 2. Ensure you've completed your level 2 and get it approved by the VP Education. So these are the things. And if you all want to know where you all can find speech topics, find topics that have happened with you, something that's have challenged you and you've overcome those challenges. So my mentor is the first distinguished Toastmaster of India. The very first distinguished Toastmaster of India is my mentor. So he gave me an acronym, FIP, Family Interest Profession. You can find topics there. I was standing in a queue yesterday in KFC and I found a topic there. It helps me in table topics. So inspiration and stories are everywhere. You just have to, a little bit of change in your mindset and you'll be able to spot it. And get your speech mentors if you mentored if you want. Any questions, anything? Okay,
It's
yes.
generally easier to speak, like if I have to speak in the next meeting and it's the same 8 people, it would be much easier for me to speak. But if I walk into a room with an audience I've never seen before, not even once, the whole dynamic changes. Even if I have internalized the speech, practice it a lot of times. So anything that I can practice or bring into my speech that can help me there.
Okay. See, firstly, Abhishek, it's all in the mind. Okay, and don't go with this preconceived notion. An audience comprises many kind of people. People who root for you, people who will be hostile towards you. So don't go with any preconceived notion. Go with this mindset. My mentor always told me, the first DTM in India, he told me, before you go on stage, especially during a contest, where you go on stage, psych yourself up. I am the world's best speaker. You could be the most atrocious speaker, okay? But you must believe in yourself. You, on that stage, you are the world's best speaker. There's no one better than you. And once you come back and sit after your speech, be the most humble person you know. But psych yourself up like that. I am the best. Okay, so then you're more better prepared. Secondly, take up every opportunity you get to go on stage within the club, outside of the club. The only way you can get comfortable is by meeting new people, putting yourself on different stages. This is how you go. I have another mentor, he's my contest mentor, and he says he's from Bangalore, but he participates from Maharashtra, the district in Maharashtra. He goes one day prior to the venue just to get acclimatized to the stage. He wants to see how big it is. So you really, it's more cerebral in nature. It's all in your mind. So this, I'll tell you, this happened to me again in another table topic contest. I said, wasn't that a great attempt? Something I asked him. I asked, can we have a show of hands? You won't believe it. Even my own club members didn't raise their hands. It was an extremely hostile audience. But I did whatever I could do and I still ended up coming first. So be more focused on yourself. Think about yourself. Think about winning. Don't be so focused on the audience. There'll be some audience who are very interested in what you're saying. Some people don't care. Some people yawn on your face. Preparation is the key. But take every opportunity to go outside of your club to get used to different kind of audiences and different kind of stages. Yeah. Anything else? Yes, Suraj.
So what if I get a factual topic, like topic is interview, like budget, interim budget. I get a topic interim budget, and it's been a long time when I have read this in newspaper, and whatever data, whatever facts I'm having in my mind, that is a kind of hazy. So how to handle that
This
situation?
is a table topic.
Yeah, it may be a table topics, it may be a 3 minutes talk, and I get a time for 3 minutes to prepare on that. So in
Okay.
that situation.
So if it's a Toastmasters context, firstly, they will give you something that is universal in nature, something that is general.
Right.
They won't give you something as budget or they won't give you something very technical. Okay, so even in the rules, the contest rule, you can have a look at the contest rule book.
Okay.
You can have this latest speech contest rule book. It will be available online, or you can ask your president or your area director. They'll give it to you. They'll give you a soft copy.
Okay.
It is recommended there to give a topic that is general in nature. So it'll be mostly quotations or something that you can talk about. So, for example, if you were given interim budget,
Yes.
now you don't know what is you know what is interim, you know what is budget. So
Yeah,
talk
I'm
about
aware
what.
about it a little bit, but that's
Yeah, it's okay. But then you can even talk about. You can even pick a word, budget, and expound on that.
right.
And you can talk about why budgeting is important. Not from a country's perspective or the global perspective, but your perspective, how budgeting was important and how your mother was good at budgeting and which saved up for you. And today you have a substantial amount of money because of her foresight, something like that. You see how much it's about how you deliver a speech with conviction. I told you about my mentor, right? DTM. He delivered a speech, and his speech revolved around Hitler being a good person. And he said that with such conviction that people actually became fans of Hitler. Ultimately, are you able to deliver your message with conviction? Unless you're convinced about your idea, you will not be able to convince others.
Right.
I see in an evaluation contest, what happened, it was a division level evaluation contest, and the person gave an acronym. Towards the conclusion, the person was reiterating the acronym and the person fumbled. The person forgot what they wanted to say. Every evaluator told the test speaker, how can you get the acronym wrong? That was the foundation of your speech. How can you get it wrong? But I'm from India's first Toastmasters club. The way I am tuned is differently. So I said, you know what? Despite you fumbling, you still continued without getting unnerved. I congratulate you for that. And just a little change in perspective, right? So what you say, you need to say it with conviction. So you talk about budgeting. If you don't know, there might be some statement, or a proverb which you don't even know.
Yes.
Now you are in an area contest or a division contest. Now what you can't tell, I don't know, please change the topic. You can't say that. So what you can say is you pick up a word, whatever you understand, and then explain it with conviction. Give real life examples or something. Try to incorporate voice modulation, body language. Don't get scared just because you don't understand. That's a table topic is your take on the topic. It's your take. So don't get scared. Oh, what if I don't know the topic? What if I don't understand? Do the best you can. Any other thing? Yes, Shatan.
Just to follow up on what Suraj asked. So I believe his question was from outside Toastmasters perspective, because at the end of the day, Toastmasters is just a platform to help you improve your skills so that you can implement back in your public and professional life. So if his work, it requires him to talk about these aspects where you have to be factual, like interim budget. You have to be factual, and you have, like you said, he has limited knowledge, or he's not brushed it up for some time. Then what does he do? I would still follow your suggestion. My thought process, I would still follow your suggestion. Whatever facts that we have, like it has to be factual, definitely. It cannot be just an inspiring message saying that, oh, interim budget can do so much, we should do budgeting, or it can. And they're taking your personal example of, like, your mom does good budgeting, may or may not fit depending on how do you implement it. So I think the suggestion or the message that I got from your suggestion was that you still have whatever facts that you have, build upon that to convey what you're trying to convey. So if you know only 4 points of the entire budget, how do those 4 points impact the current status quo? How should they be modified? If you have any suggestions, like how should those 4 points, what are the pros and cons of those points? How could, and definitely giving a suggestion, a value would add value to your speech rather than saying this is what it is. Just rather than just describing, providing a solution to it, or providing your viewpoint as to why it should or should not have been this way. just building on whatever you know, instead of saying, okay, that there's so much that I don't remember. Don't even mentioning that, like not highlighting your weakness there, saying you don't remember that. Just focus on what you know, and then how you can build upon that and add value to your speech through your own thought process as to this is how it should be. I think that would work.
Yeah, but if it's from a work perspective, I would really suggest you to do your homework. Don't go for a meeting unprepared. Ultimately, we're getting paid for it, and you don't want to appear like a fool with not knowing your facts. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. So please, if it's your work environment, try to do the research. I would never walk into a meeting being unprepared.
No, it's for an interview. If I'm going for a job interview,
Okay.
and they can ask anything on the
Okay.
start,
Yeah.
then you don't know what to do, right?
Yeah.
You can only There's so much only that you can
Yeah.
prepare for. You don't know what is going to be asked.
I was preparing for the UPSC civil service examination, and somebody told me sometimes if you don't know, you can actually say, I don't know. Because we can't underestimate the intelligence of the people who are questioning us also. So see what works. Read the body language, read the audience, see what works for you in that particular context. Yeah. Any other questions? Nothing else? Yeah. Okay, so that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all the very best for your upcoming international speech contest. I hope we get the district champion from your club. And with that, I hand it back over to Toastmaster Jatin.
Thank you so much,
Thank you, Sonal.
Sonal, for that wonderful session, which didn't feel anything like your professor's session at all. Uh, Nobody here was sleeping. Everybody was so engaged, and we had so much wonderful questions. And I hope the audience got has taken down a lot of notes, which would help us prepare our own speeches and do wonders with it. Yeah, Shiva was showing his notebook. So yes, definitely that's the case.